during the lecture. Is that okay? 我们会评选整个课程当中最美学员，好不好？我希望我们可以看到你认真学习的样子。So turn on your camera. Let us see you. All right? And then next one. OK, 大家刚才已经在聊天系统里告诉我你在哪里了，对不对？ So this is the chatting system. So this is me. Welcome to join us. And then we have our professor from Harvard University. So if you can change your name into this form. So put your school name first. 可以是学校名字的缩写 and then your English name and then your Chinese name. Okay? Change your name so that professor can address you, can call your name, so we can know who you are. And 大家有任何的问题都可以在聊天系统里面敲出来哈，我们会看到你的问题。All right, and then, okay, this is a QR code, but do not scan it, 因为你什么也扫不出来哈。所以呢，如果对于整个课程的内容，还有接下来你怎么通过这个课程获取到美国大学的通用的3个学分，以及怎么获得哈佛大学的教授的推荐信，以及和他一起完成你的个人作品，请一直保持到这个我们整个课程结束。在课程结束的时候，我们会给你一个 QR code， 然后这个是个秘籍哈，会首先发送给你我们这整堂课程的一个课程内容的材料，以及接下来会告诉你我们怎么获得这个课程，和着我们哈佛大学教授一起获得这个课程的学分以及你的个人作品。All right, OK， 这是我想跟大家分享的一点点内容，所以希望大家在接下来的1个小时当中能够收获满满。OK， 那我们先来介绍一下我们今天的教授。OK， So Professor, so I'm going to introduce you. Would you please say hi to everybody?
Hi everybody, how are you doing? Woohoo! Welcome, graphic design and programming basics. Woo-hoo.
Thank you so much. 然后我们今天还有一位美女的助教 ，We have a teaching assistant, Lucy. Lucy, would you please say hi to everyone? Oh, sorry, we cannot hear you.
You're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Okay, hi everybody. I'm Matron. You can call me Lucy instead. Nice to each other.
Nice. I'm very happy to have you with us, Matron. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose.
我们这位助教呢是教授现在的学生哈，他是这个也跟着这位教授学了很多课程，所以我们会在我们接下来的课程里面帮助大家完成一些学业上面的问题。OK， 那我们现在就要开始吧，好吗？各位同学，你们准备好了吗？那我们就开始今天这个 Programming Basics 的学习。OK，So Professor, you may get started. Let's start the show.
Thank you very much. I may need 10 seconds to set up. I'm going to switch off my video and then I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share, where am I going to share this? Okay, so you guys can see me?
Yep.
All right, and now can you see my screen here? Is that
Super
correct?
Cool.
All right, great. Welcome, we're ready. Well, thank you very much. I'm not sure what you said as an introduction, but I would like to introduce myself too. My name is, I have a really long Spanish name, but you can call me Jose. I teach technology courses at the Graduate School of Design at Harvard University here in Boston in the US. I was invited to teach a course here on graphic design. I believe what it says here is graphic design. Is that correct? Have I done my homework? All right, great. And what I would like to give you a gentle introduction to what this course is going to be about. If I speak too fast, you can let me know, and I will slow down a little bit. What I would like to tell you tonight is that this course is going to be a course where I will teach you the fundamentals of graphic design, but instead of using the traditional tools that graphic designers use, our tool for this course is going to be computer programming. It's going to be code. And why is that? Traditionally, in the 20th century and before, graphic design has been very related to the arts and very strongly related to visual composition, color, and a lot of research that went into how can we use materials and physical things to make graphic design. Now, with the invention of computers, obviously the tools, people who were designers thought that computers had a lot of potential to also help them in graphic design. And therefore, during the course of many, many years, there were a lot of developments in figuring out how can we use computers to make better graphic design, and how can we use the languages that run inside of computers to make visual artifacts and communicate ideas in a better way. A lot of art from the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s explored the early potentials that computers had for expressing visual form and for communicating visual ideas. And all the way up until today, where a lot of artists are now finding in computers and in the things that you can do with computers, still a new and novel language that they can express themselves with. This is very important in the field of graphic design, in the field of art, in the field of architecture, or in any single field where creativity is important. Now, traditionally, as of these days, in the 21st century, the typical tools, the typical digital tools that graphic designers use when creating layouts, when creating logos, when creating two-dimensional objects, are typically tools that have a very strong interface that you click on buttons and then you perform operations, such as, for example, Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator. I think those tools are great, but I think you have a lot of time and you will have a lot of opportunities to learn these tools in other places, because what I would like to share with you is a different kind of tool. It's a tool that uses computer programming and it uses code to generate form in a different way. And I think this is more interesting because it requires not only that you learn a particular interface like Photoshop or Illustrator, but it requires that you think in terms of the structure of your design, and you are able to express that language with computer programming, which I find super interesting and I love. There's a lot of work that is going on this front. And Mei Chun, our TA, she has done a lot of work in this aspect as well, and she can also share with you how wonderful, once you understand this technique, how wonderful and how powerful it can be. And because I want to make a case about that, what I would like to do is I would like to show you some examples of the things that we will be learning in this course. So for example, I will show you techniques to understand when you are on a computer screen, what is the coordinate system that a computer uses to represent graphics. So I will show you the idea that horizontal is the X direction, vertical is the Y direction, and that with numbers that corresponds to the pixels on the screen, you can select locations and you can place objects and you can combine them together. I forgot to say, what we will be using, the programming language that we will be using in this course is called P5JS. And P5JS is a project that is specifically for visual artists and for graphic designers. And it's built on top of JavaScript, which is the programming language that runs on top of the browsers and on top of all the internet. What this means is that the work that you will be able to do here in this course, you will be able to put it online and you will be able to show it on a website. And therefore you will be able to share it with your family, your friends, potential employers, or schools that you want to apply with. So it doesn't have to be printed, but you will be able to have it online on the internet, on your website, on your portfolio, and share it with anybody that you want. So going back, I would like to teach you the basics of, for example, creating primitive shapes, creating simple shapes. For example, like these ones. what I'm going to do right now is that I'm going to go to the P5JS editor. Hello? Hi. I'm going to go to the P5JS editor, and I don't want you to do this. I just want to show you the things that we will be doing today. But I don't want you to do, I just want you to pay attention to me, okay? I will share all the code that I'm going to show today. I will share it with you by the end of the lecture, and you will be able to use it and look at it and play with it by the end of the lecture, okay? So what you see here on this side is a very simple program that creates a canvas of 600 by 600 pixels, all right? And if I execute this program, you can see that that canvas shows up on the right-hand side of the screen. Now, if you look at the code, it's very simple to understand that I'm setting the color of the background, and I will explain in the course why 128 means a gray color. I will explain, and it's very easy to see how, for example, here, I'm drawing a square, a rectangle, a circle, and an ellipse. Square, a rectangle, a circle, and an ellipse. What this number means, what these numbers mean, they mean the location on the screen, on the canvas, and the dimensions of these objects. So it's very easy to understand as well. But all those things will be the things that we will be learning in this course. I'm going to go back. I would also like to show you, to teach you the fundamentals of computer color and how computers represent all the spectrum of colors that we can see in nature. If you're familiar with computers, the only thing that computers really understand is numbers. So we need to find a way just to define that the color red, the color green, the color blue have like a certain numerical representation. So if I go to the same program, but with colors, you can see that the only thing that I've done is before I draw each one of those squares, here I set the fill color to be 0. I fill the fill color to be 250, which means red. And these are the things that we will learn in the course, why this means red, why this means green, and why this means blue. I would also like to show you interesting applications of how can you work with those colors and with those rules and apply interactivity so that using interactivity, you can create graphical compositions that are much more interesting than the simple rules that you could apply with static programs, such as, for example, Photoshop or Illustrator, like the ones that I showed before. So for example, if I go to this program that I also wrote on my online editor, okay, you can see what I will show you is that in this program, what I'm doing is I am drawing 4 lines from the 4 corners of my screen, okay? But I'm drawing them to the center of the mouse. So as I do this, you can see that I am moving my mouse and that I'm constantly drawing lines that change color. So for example, from yellow to red to green to black, and that they overlay on top of the canvas. And and you can see also that the colors are fading away. That is because I am fading them away over time. But if I did this, for example, if I remove those lines of code, what you will be able to see is that now I can run this and all the lines stay on top of the canvas. And therefore I just created this super, super simple interactive design and graphic drawing tool with, what is that, 16 lines of code? How awesome is this, right? These kind of things are very difficult to do with other static software, like for example, Adobe and Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator. Also, I should mention all the tools that we're going to be using in this course are free. So you will not have to pay a single dollar for to use any of this stuff. Now, what becomes really interesting is that there are a lot of things that you can do with these kind of techniques. There are a lot of things that you can do, like for example, that idea of using the mouse to draw on top of the screen, you can extend it to a more complex situation where by moving the mouse really fast, I can draw lines between where the mouse was before and where the mouse is now. And therefore I can create a small sketching tool that you or that anybody who visits your website could use to draw something on the screen. I can, for example, I can draw something, and then I can change the color, and I can say, hello. Oh, and then I can just get like a full screen image of my canvas. Now, we can use typography as well as something that is expressive and that can send an important message. The idea is that typography are shapes that have been designed to accommodate letters or symbols in a particular language, but there is a lot of design in the form that typography has embedded. And those are things that we can also use in graphic design to even reinforce the expressiveness of the message that we're sending. So for example, I can create a very simple tool that will display a message on the screen, like for example, graphic design, but things that I can use and I can implement, and I can use a particular typography that I have loaded, that I just downloaded from the internet and that I uploaded. But there are many things that I can do now here. So for example, I can implement the fact that this message may automatically rotate over time. So for example, here, I can animate my typography by just implementing a simple rule where I design a value for an angle and I rotate the line, the virtual line, where this text is going to be displayed. But there are even more things that I can do. I can, maybe if instead of automatically rotating every frame, what I do is I want to rotate the text according to where my mouse is. I can also do that very simple. So for example, you see here, depending on where my mouse is, my text is following. And I can add even more effects to this. So I can add the effect that instead of that I can create like a trail over the text, so that I can create this like small halo animation over the word graphic design, which it conveys a more powerful message and it keeps the attention of the user as well. Or I can combine that, and instead of doing automatically, I can do it with my mouse, so that it becomes not just a powerful message, but also a playful experience to whomever is visiting your website. And you definitely will be doing a much better job at keeping their attention, obviously, which is a lot of the core of why you want to put energy and effort on graphic design, right? We will learn some techniques that are particular to computer programming, and that it just so happens that they're very useful when it comes to making compositions and when it comes to generating a lot of form and a lot of shapes in an automated way. Imagine if you were in Illustrator and you wanted to draw a lot of cubes, you would have to manually draw a rectangle and start copy pasting it to create a matrix. And then if you wanted to give them a small rotation to each one of them, you would have to do that manually. With computer programming, you can write rules that define the relationship between these elements in a very simple, very short way, and it creates like a very powerful impact. So for example, a very simple example here is I can create a very simple program where what I do is I divide my canvas in 5 different quadrants, and then I create rectangles with colors that are changing in intensity as they move on top of the canvas. Doing this in Illustrator or in other typical programming language and in other typical software would have taken a lot of time and a lot of manual effort. Here, you can do that as simple as with 5 lines of code. And I would like to iterate that a lot of this code is actually comments. It's just to explain what you're looking at. So if it can look even much leaner, much cleaner, if you just remove all those comments. Even though comments are really good because they help you keep track of what you're looking at, and they help as reminders of why you wrote certain things. The idea is that you can create static images and you can create static compositions like the one that I'm showing here. But you can also write a little bit of more logic into this program so that this composition of rectangles with a gradient color is not static, but it's also dynamic and interactive with the user. So for example, if I go here and I look at the exact same program, but with a program that is responsive to my mouse. So what you can see is that as I move my mouse, the size of the squares corresponds to where my mouse is. So you can see that the first black rectangle has the size of my mouse on the screen. And therefore, if I move it, I can create compositions that are, for example, just vertical red bars into a gradient. Or if I move the other way, I can do vertical, horizontal, blue bars up to a gradient. Or if I move in 2 dimensions, you can see that I can get the full spectrum of color with the squares just by writing a simple few logic rules. How cool is that, huh? Now, that can be applied to color, it can be applied to form, but it can be applied to animations as well. Some of the more interesting things that happen in graphic design is that when you supersede the idea that your element is static, and what you want is you want to create graphic design that is animated and that is responsive to the user. So for example, if you wanted to create a matrix, a 2-dimensional matrix of rectangles, that each one of them being like slightly rotated in front of the, from the previous one, doing this manually would take like an enormous amount of time. However, again, writing simple rules that, that define how this matrix can, how each one of these elements can move a little bit on top of each other, is very simple. And I can actually activate other rules that would make it responsive to the user. So for example, you can see here that as I move my mouse, the angle between the squares, how they rotate on top of each other changes very, very slightly. And therefore I can explore all the range of forms and all the range of possibilities that this tiny sketch is giving me. And this could be a design, for example, for, I don't know, for the background of your website. It could be a design for paper, to wrap a gift. It could be a design for a lot of many things. I don't know. I'm losing track of time, Dido. So when we want to make the pause, can you please interrupt me? Yes, just interrupt me, okay? Whenever you want to take the break. And this idea of using animations to create patterns and to create form is very important because it is at the core of all the flexibility and all the power that computer programming can give you as a graphic designer. So for example, if we play with a very simple example where what I'm going to create is I'm going to create something that is, it looks closer to a small video game than it is to actual graphic design. So what you can see here is that I designed this thing that is, it's a simple circle that is bouncing off the borders of my screen. And so it looks like a small video game. It's this ball that is playing around, etc. But if I change just one single line of code, and that line of code was the fact that every frame I am cleaning the screen and I'm drawing again, if instead of doing that, I left all the drawings on the screen that I've been doing over and over, then a very interesting effect happens, which is the accumulation of all the drawings that the computer has done of this circle. And therefore, if we let this play over time, then we would get this really interesting growing pattern of hexagons and circles on top of these hexagons, which I also think that could be like a very interesting, if we play a little bit with color and with form, it could be also like a very interesting, I don't know, paper, background, screensaver, I don't know, you name it. All right, should we take the break, Taito?
Okay, right.
Wonderful.
Okay, thank you so much. It's a super cool demonstration.
You're welcome. How are we?
I can't wait to try everything.
I'm going to share the link, so you're welcome to try and
Okay, perfect. 好，大家刚才已经看到了这么酷的展示哈。其实所有的这些编程、这些代码哈，虽然我不是业内人士哈，我不是行家，但是这个编程语言呢，确实是接下来我们就是21世纪非常非常重要的一门语言，它可以帮我们实现很多很多我们想做的事情哈。那接下来呢，我们利用短暂的这个中场休息时间，我们把时间交给我们的助教Lexi， 然后他来呢，首先我也想请 Lexi 也简单的再介绍一下自己哈，就是因为他也是这个专业，是我们教授的学生，然后呢，再给我们summarize 刚刚前半程课程老师阐述的一些内容，好吧？然后他可能会有一个小问题提给大家哦，然后大家可以积极互动，然后所有刚才教授的这些非常炫酷的这些代码和展示，在后面的课程当中，我们每个同学其实如果你要参与的话，都会学到的哈。Lexi。Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Lucy. Okay, so I'm a first-year graduate student from Harvard Graduate School of Design, and my major is design studies with a concentration in technology. So I took Jose's class, Introduction to Computational Design, last year, and we learned how to do generative design by creative coding. 就是大家可以叫我 Lucy， 然后去年呢我上了 Jose 的课，然后这门课是关于就是计算式编程的入门，然后我们学习了如何用一些就是创意代码去实现一些就是在创意领域或者是3D 领域会比较有趣的一些方式。然后我现在在哈佛大学，然后设计研究生院，然后读研一，然后专业是设计学，然后我的主要研究方向在科技和人机交互。然后刚才就是我们的教授呢，主要介绍了就是如何用P5，然后这是一个基于 JavaScript 的一种编程语言，你可以把它当做一个就是 JavaScript 的一个拓展功能包，然后它可以让你直接在前端网页上呢就实现，比如说对色彩、图形、还有字体以及动画等等各种就是互动方面的一些控制。然后另外呢，就是说，因为编程语言它是一个就是可以方便你不断去迭代你的设计的一种方式。所以如果你想不断的改进你的设计呢，那么你只需要去改动你的代码，就可以及时看到一个更新的效果。对，然后刚才就是Jose 聊到说，就是就是在这个整个就是 presentation 的一开始，然后他有聊到说，如何去用代码去实现颜色，所以我想请大家去猜一猜，就是什么样的一个输入是控制这个颜色的表达的。So Jose, I'm asking a question like, how to like control the colors in P5?
How to control the colors?
Yeah, that is a question for students. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So.
Yeah. So
yes.
You're welcome to like answer through the chat box. 就是大家可以就是在那个对话框里就是猜一猜，就是。
Well, yeah, exactly. I see that Gary has responded. So yeah, so in computer graphics, colors are represented with 3 numbers because in computer graphics on screens, on TVs, colors are composed of the 3 main primary colors, which are red, green, and blue. And then any color is a combination of some tones of each one of those 3 colors. So for example, a orange color has a lot of red, a little bit of green and a little bit of blue. Whereas, for example, yellow has a lot of green, a lot of blue, and no red, you know? So all the colors in between are done by mixing different amounts of red, green, and blue. And it just so happens that for reasons that are a bit longer to explain, the range of those colors goes from 0 to 255. So a full red color is 255 red, 0 green, and 0 blue. And then a lot of combinations of these values.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. But this exactly is the kind of things that we will learn in the course.
OK， 那谢谢 Lucy。Sorry， 我刚才说错你名字，非常抱歉。谢谢 Lucy， 谢谢 Lucy 的那个解释哈，非常清楚。然后他刚才也谢谢了你的问题，谢谢我们回答了问题的同学哈。后面大家随时有什么问题都可以在聊天框里面输入，也希望大家积极参与这个互动哈。所有参与互动的同学都有福利可以领取的，好吗？那我们接下来进入到我们的 lecture 的第2个部分，好吗 ，Lucy？Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So, Professor, back to you.
Sure, Lucy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, let me get back to sharing my screen, which was here, and then I can go back to here. I was here. All right. Yes. I'm going to close this. I'm going to close this. Okay. So I would like to finish this by showing some other examples of things that we will learn and things that can be done at the intersection of graphic design and computer programming, and so that maybe they inspire you, and then you can see the kind of things that we will be exploring through this course. The idea that I just showed, the fact that, for example, you can implement you can implement a ball that bounces off the screen. If you multiply that effect and you add colors and you add form, then there's like a lot of creative potential in the idea that you can do, like Lucy very smartly said, you can start moving from static graphic design to something that we like calling generative graphic design. And what's important about generative graphic design is that what you program is not the form, but what you program is the rules that generate that form over time. And I think that is extremely interesting. I think this is extremely powerful, and it's the kind of things that I would like to explore with you in this course. So for example, what we did in this example is we took the idea of the bouncing ball, but we just added many more of those objects, and we changed their colors, and we bounced them up, so that once you do that, you get this playful visualization. I think you might be seeing the video a little choppy, but you can see how we have like all these random colors and all these random balls moving around. It can create an interesting pattern, but even more, as I said, if instead of cleaning the screen every frame and then drawing again on top of it, if we leave the marks, if we leave the footprints of all these circles moving around, then we get a super interesting effect like this one. You guys can see that just by changing one simple line of code, we have tremendously changed the visualization of and created this like really colorful overlay of moving objects on top of the screen. This, if we took a snapshot, it could be like a super interesting thing to print. If we put this online, it could be the background of your website. It could be a screensaver. It could be a lot of things, you know? This is the power of digital technologies. But not just this, if we, on top of this, implemented interactivity with the user, then things become way more interesting. So for example, let me go to this other example where the principle is very similar. So you're going to see that we have a lot of circles. It's just that instead of bouncing from the border of the screen, now what they're doing is they're jumping right somewhere. They're getting to a new target, and then they jump into another target, and then jump into another target. They're like flies. They're like, whoop, 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 whoop. But what's interesting about this is that they are also responsive to the user. So I can click, for example, here on the center, and as I do, they're all going to try to go to what I tell them to do, like, woo. And when they reach there, they all start exploding and moving around again. I also can change this one line of code to make sure that the result is always on the screen. So you guys can see how it looks like fireworks that are exploding. And I can also still move them to the center and ask them to go all the way to the center. This is really playful and really fun. I'm going to, I think, where am I? Yes. Similarly, it doesn't have to be balls. It can be any kind of graphical object that you can think on. So an object that moves randomly around the screen is usually referred to as a random walker. And if what you do is like you leave the print of this random walker that is changing direction randomly as it moves to the screen, then then you can also create these growing patterns on the screen that very strongly reflect the idea that we have been discussing, which is the generation of graphic design. Drawing this manually would have been close to impossible, but writing simple rules that populate and that create all these objects and move them around is very easy. This program has 50 lines of code, right? And look at how powerful, how visually powerful this program is, right? Or you can create objects that have, with very simple rules of mathematics and trigonometry, they have some kind of perceived agency. They look like they are almost like alive. So for example, here, I have created these objects that I call creepers, and they start from the center. And what I have done is I have implemented a very simple rule where they always keep walking forward, but then they change their angle slightly, jittering a little bit. Therefore, it looks like it's like a field full of tiny creepers and animals or ants or whatever you call them, or bugs. But again, if we, instead of using them as something that looks like a video game, we use them as elements that are drawing a pattern on top of the screen, then we get this really magnificent effect of like the path and the trajectories of all these objects on top of each other, which I find super, super interesting and super compelling, right? And last but not least, you can also play with the webcam. So for example, because the webcam, what it does is it's taking an image of yourself, and an image is nothing else than a two-dimensional array of pixels. And each one of those pixels has a color that is represented, like we just discussed. It is represented with 3 numbers, the red, the green, and the blue. You can work with those numbers and you can perform operations to create playful effects. So for example, I don't know if this is going to work because I don't know how many webcams I have in my system and if everything is working. Let's see. Yep. So you can see that right now I'm looking at the webcam of the computer that I have here on the side, and then I'm reading all the values, and I'm only taking the ones, and I'm reading all the pixels on the webcam, and I'm only drawing the ones that are changing in brightness, that are changing in colors very rapidly, so that if I stand and I don't move, then I disappear. But then if I move, then I show up on top of the screen. And this is just because of a very, very simple numerical rule with the pixels with the colors of the pixels that are on the screen. So I think this was the last example. I'm going to share here on the screen. I'm going to share here on the chat. Right now, where is the chat? Where do I have the chat? Where is the chat? Okay, I don't know where the chat is. I think I've lost it. No, here. Here is the chat. All right. Okay. I just posted on the chat a link to what you're seeing here, which is the list of all the examples that I just showed. And what's super powerful about this is because everything runs on the web. You don't have to install anything. You don't have to download anything. You can just click on each one of these. You can just click on each one of these. You can hit play, and then it will run on your screen. All right. So you're welcome to play with these examples, to see if you like them, to see if like you can change the code a little bit and see if like you can change the colors or like you can change the behavior of some of these objects, and then and see if like this is something that you might be interested on, that they might be interested in or not. Something that I would like to show you, if you want to see more examples of what can be done, there is a really good website called openprocessing.org, which is a repository which is an online repository where people take this code that I have shown you, they put it here, and then it can be run on the browser. And you can see really, really cool examples of what can be done with computer graphics and by writing very simple rules of code. So for example, you see this like somehow this is responding to my mouse and I can stop it now, but then if I move my mouse to the right, it's moving forward, etc., etc. You know, this is super, super cool. You know, why would anybody want to do Photoshop when you can write code, right? I mean, at least that's what I think. And yeah, and a couple of reminders before I pass it on to Lucy, because Lucy, as she mentioned, she took my class last semester and she did a really, really cool project that was using some P5.js. And I would like to share, and I would like to invite her to share some of that with us. But before we do that, I have a couple of reminders. So this that you might be attending is a college degree course, which means that you will earn credit by taking this course, which means that this is credit that you can use for your future education. So if you take this class now, it's a class that you will not need to take in the future. You will be learning directly from me. I will be teaching this course. I will be with Lucy's help, who has a lot of experience in P5.js and in computational design in general. I will teach you a lot of the techniques that I showed you today. We will play with form, we will play with color, we will play with animation, and we will play with interactivity. And the last week of the course, you will be doing, with our help, you will be doing a final graphic design project, okay? It will be something that you will choose what to do. If you don't know what you want to do, we will help you find a topic. And then it will be something that you will be working for the full week with our help. You will be presenting your progress. And then hopefully by the end, you will have a piece of work that will be a nice thing for you to include in your design portfolio. Because if you are interested in design, design portfolios are a super, super important part of your applications to jobs, to universities, to the degree programs. And I can tell you because I do admissions in my university. So, that's one of the first things that we look when it comes to designers. And it's also something that you will be, because you will be learning web-based technologies. It will be something that you will be able to put on your website and that anybody with a link will be able to access without installing anything, without downloading anything, just like you saw today. And last but not least, you will learn the fundamentals of computer programming. We will not go very deep because computer programming is a huge topic, but you will learn the basics, and you will learn the basics on how to do that online on a browser so that it can serve as an introduction to computer science. And if you're interested in that, then you can take other classes to learn properly how to program in other programming languages and how to be an expert programmer. I just want to say that computer programming these days is a really, really marketable skill. So if you're interested in finding jobs, there are tons and tons of jobs that involve writing code. So maybe this could be like a gentle introduction for you to learn if this is something that you might be interested in the future or not. especially because since we will not be doing things that are a little more difficult to perceive and not so playful. We will be doing a lot of things that are visual and graphical, and that is usually like a much more fun introduction to the art of programming. All right, and with that, I'm going to stop it here. If you have any questions, I think I will be looking at the chat and responding to those questions. But in the meantime, I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to invite Lucy to share her screen and talk like for 3 or 4 minutes about the project that she did in the class, so that it serves you to see if you keep learning and if you keep studying these techniques on the long run, where you could go with these things. So let me stop sharing here, and I'm going to pass it back to Lucy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jose. Let me do my screen sharing. Since I'm not allowed to share the screen, if you don't mind, can I send you the link to my project?
Let me just make you.
Okay.
I'll just make you a host.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Actually, okay. What are you? I can't see you. I can't see you on the screen on the chat.
I think we already assigned Lucy a co-host.
Yeah, you are host. I see that you're host here. Are you sure you can't?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, try now.
Do it.
Try again.
Okay. I don't think I can do that.
Okay. Well, maybe send me a link and then I can share it.
Yeah. Yes, please.
All right. Do we have any questions in the meantime? Okay. I see a question. Which language do I recommend to learn the most? For example, Java or Python? Well, for example, in this course, you will be learning JavaScript, which is the programming language that runs on all the web browsers on the world. But there are a lot of other very interesting programming languages out there. Python is a very popular one. It has a lot of use these days, for example, in machine learning and artificial intelligence. And I think it's a very popular one. C# is a really good one if you're going to write applications that for Windows systems, for example. Or C++ is also like a really powerful one, but it's a bit more difficult to learn. So let me, I believe, all right. Let me share my screen again. Where is this? Okay, share screen. Okay, and then this minimize. Okay, I believe I'm showing your project right now.
Yeah. So my project is called like 24 hours in Cambridge. So we were collected like students' data to do this like interactive website, basically to show the students' activities and where they go in a day. 就是说，这个项目叫做就是剑桥的24小时，然后剑桥是我们学校所在的区域，然后这是一个互动的一个网站，主要就是用作就是一个数据可视化。Jose, if you don't mind, can you go back to the video and let's play it.
Welcome to our data visualization web.
这个网站呢，就是主要就是用 JavaScript 和 P5 去实现的。就是前面大家可以看到，这是一个鼠标跟随，然后你可以看到这些图形都可以跟随鼠标进行360度转圈。然后这是一 一个就是关于这每一个点代表着一个学生，然后你可以去过滤上面的数据，去控制每一次你的网站上会出现哪些数据。然后另外这些圆圈代表着学生活动的范围和地点。然后同样的，你也可以通过更新他们学生的所在年级，还有就是更新他们的活动的类型，比如说这是一个 mental activity 还是一个就是 bodily activity。然后另外你可以就是把鼠标悬停在每一个点上，然后你可以看到更多的信息，然后这些信息都是基于一个后台数据。然后左边左边这个工具栏呢，就是帮助你去切换不同的页面。然后上面这个部分就是我们可以在前端允许用户去更新数据的一种方式。Okay, I think it's the end of the first part. 然后另外的一个部分呢，就是我们并没有用P5，是用的 C#， 所以可能就不是这节课会要概括的内容。Jose, can you scroll down?
Yes. Where?
You can just quickly scroll down so the students can see the overall project.
Okay.
这个就是我的一些就是过程。然后在这个项目的最后呢，我就把基于这个地图做了一个互动游戏，然后这是用另一个软件实现的。然后也就是说，如果大家如果继续在编程的方面呢进行进一步的学习，然后你就有机会去实现更加advanced 的一个项目。Okay, thank you, Jose.
Thanks to you, Lucy. Maybe you want to share this link on the chat.
Okay, sure.
Yes. Wonderful.
Okay, I can share the link to the video.
Yes. Well, I believe, Daido, if we can probably answer some questions, if there are any more questions, right?
Yep. 好，刚才我们看到了真的很棒、很炫酷的展示哈。然后教授也有跟我们讲，这个呢是一个大学学分的课程，因为其实无论你大学在学习什么专业，你的毕业要求里面可能都有要求你要学习艺术相关的一门课程。那我们这个课程就完全可以满足你任何一个大学的毕业要求哈。所以呢，你在这里学习了，并且跟到我们这么棒的导师哈，然后他真的有很棒的经历，然后曾经也帮助像谷歌啊、三星啊等等公司做过很多很厉害的工作哈。然后在整个课程的最后呢，你还可以完成像我们今天这样美女助教姐姐完成了这样一个 project， 对吧？你可以实现自己的一个理想，你可以做一个自己的网站，或者做一个编程，做一个自己的一个软件或者一个游戏，这个都是在课程的最后都是可以实现的。所以希望有很多同学可以加入到我们这个课程当中哈。接下来呢就是我们的问答环节。然后我们的那个 Lucy 助教也会帮助大家，如果你不知道怎么样用英语表达，你也可以说中文，然后如果可以用英语，就可以在我们的聊天框中把你的问题敲出来，然后可以跟我们的 Jose 哈佛教授进行一个面对面的交流。我看看大家有没有什么问题可以问一下呢？ Okay, we got a question from Gary.
Yeah. So is there any platform like P5.js that is based on Python? Yes, there is. The actually P5.js is part of a larger community which belongs to what's called the Processing Foundation. The Processing Foundation is a non-profit organization that whose mission is to spread the knowledge of creative coding among the community. And the very first project that they had was this programming environment called Processing, which was based on top of the Java language. This one is one that you cannot use on the browser. This one is one that you can download for free and that you can install on your computer, and then you can write very similar code to the one that I just showed, but instead of online, just living on your computer. This project started in 2005 and is extremely popular among visual artists and designers. because since it runs on your computer, it's a bit more powerful and has better performance than whatever you can run on the browser. So if you want to do, for example, art installations or projection or like music videos and that kind of stuff, you need that extra performance. That programming language processing is based on Java, but a friend of ours from Google, he designed a translation of the processing language to Python. So if you download processing and then you download the Python package, you can write very, very similar code to the one that we have written, but instead of having a Java flavor or a JavaScript flavor, it does have a Python flavor. So you can write for loops the way you write them in Python. You can write classes the way you write them in Python, but you still get all the power of drawing geometry and shapes on the screen, like you do with any of the family of processing, P5, etc., etc. So go to, if you're interested in that, go to processing.org, download the main software, and then download the Python extension. And you will be able to write Python in a very similar way to do the very similar things that we have done.
Okay, thank you.
The only reason why we have chosen to do P5.js on this course is because it's going to be online, and anything that is online can definitely use the power of writing code that lives on the cloud and can be run on a website, as opposed to having the files, each one of us locally in our computer, which is a bit more difficult. We also want to make this P5.js so that you guys have the power of showing your final projects on the web, and instead of having to send somebody a code file that maybe they can run or not, you can just send them a link, they can run it on the browser, and they don't have to install anything. That is a super, super important thing.
All right, thank you so much. Any other questions? 大家还有什么问题吗？ OK， 大家可以先想一下自己问题哈。So at the same time, I'm going to share my screen and show them a real QR code.
Leo is asking if I speak Spanish. I do speak Spanish. Soy español. I'm from Spain, yes.
OK， 现在我给大家展示的是一个真实的 QR code 哈，所以呢，我们整堂课程刚才我们的教授所有他用到的那个代码呀，还有所有的信息，如果你还没有获取到呢，你可以赶紧扫描这个 QR code， 并且呢，可以如何加入到我们这个课程当中，如何完成你最终的这个非常炫酷的个人创作，以及获取到大学的学分，还有推荐信的哈，然后呢，都可以来扫描这个二维码来跟我们的老师进行咨询，会有给你详细的指导，好吗？那各位同学，如果还有什么其他的问题，如果你现在还没有想出来，也可以扫描这个二维码加入到我们这个群当中来，随时的提问，好吧？我们的助教老师还有我们教授，我们都可以帮你获取到对你问题的答案。OK， 那大家如果没有什么问题呢，今天我们时间也差不多了。So, thanks very much, Professor Jose, and thank you, Lucy.
Thank you very much.
好，谢谢，感谢大家今天来参与到我们 iStar Class 的课堂当中，希望今后能够看到你们哈，加入我们的课程学习。OK, thank you so much.
Bye. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.